Hey guys, welcome back to my budgeting videos. I know that what you're looking at on screen right now is a big old cluttered mess and somehow like a metaphor for my life. I don't know if metaphor is the right word, but it feels apropos. So I have filled up my calendar for the month. I ended up clearly not doing a video about like setting up my planner for the month of March. I don't know. I kind of set it up for the month right before I go in and do the budget, and seems like I'm bombarding you with too many videos too close together if I do them as a thing. So my calendar is filled out, as well as my monthly budget section. I copied all of this stuff. I copy all of this stuff from the previous month because I'm kind of like, it doesn't really change, but it does. I just don't keep an accurate record of it here. This is sort of like, in a perfect world, what the numbers would be. And then over here will be what they end up because of working with the money that I have for that particular paycheck. I don't know if you can read the note that I have written on this little post-it. It is just saying that I don't have updated in the banking apps yet a date for my Neo MasterCard being due or a date for my BMO MasterCard. Like they haven't populated. So I haven't plotted them onto the calendar because I do want the calendar to try to be as accurate as possible. And actually, now that I'm saying that, I also don't have a date yet for my cell phone. So that is also not on the calendar, but I'll go in and add them once I get them. And I mean, realistically, I'll probably just add them in next paycheck when I'm sitting down and doing the budget, because I won't want to open this in between because it's depressing. Yeah, I've got the rent, paydays, RAV4 payments. Those are reliable, at least because they're auto withdrawals. My line of credit's there, my Visa's there. And yeah, the Neo MasterCard, even though I don't have a date, I'm paying it off fully this paycheck because I pay it off fully every paycheck because it's where I put my auto charging, like recurring monthly bills. So right now it's $12.31, and that's for my Apple Music, I want to say. It's Apple something. So I'll just pay it off, but I'll actually plot it onto the calendar properly so I can have an accurate record of when it was technically due. Yeah, so I'm still trying out the whole notepad thing and then taping it with washi tape into the notebook. And I mean, it's worked for the whole, two paychecks that I've done it for now. So I have not yet found a reason to stop doing it this way. And it does save me a lot of like blocking out these lines and trying to make the paper work for me. So let's get started. This is for my March 10th 2023 paycheck. There is a problem with this paycheck, and that would be that payroll screwed up and they underpaid me. So there was a stat on this paycheck, and I don't get paid for stats. I get a percentage paid out per paycheck for stats. And I usually put that money off to the side. Although I say that, I haven't been doing that this year, like since January, because I haven't had enough money to be able to afford taking that out of the budget to do that. But in theory, that's what I was doing. So already this paycheck was going to be short a day because of that, and I can usually make it work when it's short a day because of that. However, I had a sick day, and I get five paid sick days a year, but they coded the day off wrong, and they coded it as like an unpaid day off. So I just didn't get paid, and I didn't notice until I got the notification my pay stub was ready, and I viewed it and I was like, that number is not right. Yeah, and so I did all the paperwork to get it fixed, but I won't get paid out the correction of missing funds until next paycheck, which is unfortunate and has greatly altered what will be happening with this budget. But you know, what are you gonna do? So I'm starting right now with a balance in my account of $1,536.42. Now, disclaimer, I suppose I did use money from that account yesterday to get gas. Usually I funnel my gas money out of this account and put it into a different, like into a savings account, so I don't accidentally spend it, and then just e-transfer it back over right before I go and make my gas purchase. But I was running a little bit behind, so I knew that since my paycheck had gone in, I had enough in there, so I just paid $75 in gas, and then down in the numbers I will correct it and put a smaller amount back into that savings account to make up for the money I pulled. It makes sense, I promise. But yeah, okay, so that is the starting balance. The first thing I'm going to pull out is $266.72, and that's my SUV payment that will auto withdraw on Tuesday. next thing I'm going to do is $392.50 for part of rent, which already has me down to $877.20. It's just a lot of sighing today. So the next thing I'm going to do is the $12.31 for the Neo MasterCard. Now, I mean, I suppose if I really wanted to, I could just, because I don't have a date yet. I think that was one of the ones I don't have the date yet for when it's due, but I could just sort of play the odds and assume that it won't be due before my next paycheck and then pay it on the next one. So it's saving a little bit of money from the tightness of the calculations, but I promised myself with that card I'm going to be paying it off as charges go on it, and I really don't want to get out of that habit. Like, it's just, I'm going to have to pay it anyways. I might as well just suck it up and do it now. It's kind of where I'm coming from with it. I do have sort of a contingency plan, and I guess I'm hoping to not have to do it, where if the money is really short or if I just don't have enough to be able to pay everything that has to get paid, then I'm going to go into the bank account where I funneled last year the percentage of money that I got paid out every paycheck for my stats and for my vacation pay, because I don't get paid vacations either, and pull from there enough to make up the difference and then just pay it back to that account with the next paycheck, because the next paycheck will be bigger than normal because it's going to have that missing day. But I'm hoping to not have to do that. There's nothing wrong with doing it, and the whole reason I funneled money over is, well, not necessarily for situations like this. I wasn't anticipating a mistake being made on my pay, but for when there's a paycheck that has a stat, so I am technically missing a day of pay and I need the money from that day. You know, like, there was a whole reason for putting the money over. It is there to be used in situations when it's absolutely needed, which I feel this kind of falls under that. But at the same time, I want to see if I can do it without having to pull that money over. I'm really torn on it because I don't know. I don't know why I'm torn on it. My Visa is showing a minimum payment of $63.51. My Visa is causing me a lot of stress right now. I got the BMO MasterCard specifically because it had a deal on it where if I did a balance transfer from a credit card from a different bank, so with the bank I'm currently with, over to their credit card, then I would have 0.99% interest rate on the balance that I transferred over on the MasterCard. And the whole point of transferring it over was so that I could pay it off quicker, and in the long term it'll be like good financially. However, there's like an approximate 11 business day processing timeline for this, so I had to move the money from the line of credit to my Visa at Scotiabank. $6,000 I transferred over, so then immediately it's starting calculating interest. And then I did the processing on the BMO side for the balance transfer. So on my BMO bank app, it shows the $6,000 has transferred over onto their credit card, plus $120 for the transfer fee. But the $6,000 is also still showing on my Visa. And so I'm assuming it's still racking up interest while it's just sitting there waiting for the systems to fully finish whatever it is that they're finishing and yeet it off of there and just have it be on the MasterCard. So right now I look like I'm in way more debt than I already am, and I'm already in a ton of debt. Plus, it's just freaking me out every time I go onto my Scotiabank app, which is daily, just to make sure that nothing crazy has happened, and I see the Visa balance is wicked high. I'm hoping, I think tomorrow is day 11 of the business day count. So I'm really hoping that somewhere within the first half of this week, the Visa balance goes down, gets rid of that 6,000. And then I'm returning something that I purchased, so that'll put a refund on there of like around 200-ish. So that'll sort of help get that fixed. But for right now, I'm just doing the minimum payment of $63.51 because I don't know what else to do for that. I'm just stressing. Yeah, my line of credit, my minimum payment right now is $245.38. So we're doing that. Leaving me with $556 perfectly. The BMO MasterCard that I have, so it has the $6,000 that I transferred over, and then $120 of a transfer fee, and then it was the only card within reach when I made a panic purchase for something. I know. And so I used that card. The intention is to not ever use that card for anything. It was just one of those, like, I was in an online queue. There was a panic to buy it. If I didn't get that thing processed immediately, I was going to lose it. And that was the card that was right beside me. So sue me. So that has the BMO card itself has a balance. Did I write it? I wrote it, of $265.59. Now that's of charges, not of the transfer of debt that I put over. And I want to get it paid off right away because I don't know how in their system they keep it separated in their interest calculations for like the 0.99% interest being charged to the balance transfer and then the regular credit card interest rate of 19.99% to the 265. I don't know. I mean, I'm hoping their system can do it, but I also don't have trust in banks all the time. So I'm putting 100 onto the BMO MasterCard. I don't have a date yet for when the card is due. Not the card, but when the payment is due. And so I'm just sort of, I wanted to just pay it off all this paycheck, but I cannot because the paycheck got shorted. And even if it hadn't, it would have been like a really tight thing. So I'm doing 100, and then you'll see a little bit farther down a way that I found to make a little bit more of a payment on it. And then I'm just going to have to hope that once because I actually called them because I couldn't see in the app when the date of payment was. And they're like, oh, well, it's because it's so new. You only opened it, whatever the date was in February. They're like, it doesn't have a date yet. Like, it'll show up in the app once you have one. So I'm just hoping that when it shows up, it is after my next paycheck and I can just pay off the remaining amount, and then like it's all good. This is the hope. So we're at 456. Now here's a great but weird thing. A coworker went on vacation and has lent me their parking pass for the entire time that they are gone. And so now I'm saving on parking, which is amazing. It's so amazing. So I took a look at my digital cash envelope for my work parking funds, and I was $8 short of having it being fully funded because it's $80 to get me through 2 weeks of working in the office for parking, because it's like $8 a day, 5 days a week. So yeah, I am topping it up by $8 to get the digital cash envelope fully funded at the $80, and then I'm not going to be using it or contributing to it until my friend comes back from vacation and I have to give her the parking pass back, and then I'll have enough money to be paying for my parking from the date that she returns onwards. But I just sort of like don't need to worry about it from this point on, which is great. It's just so great to have like one less thing, you know? Gas, I'm only putting 25 over. I let the gas tank get quite a bit lower than I usually do, and so I put 75 in it the other day. It didn't even like hit full. It was like super close, but technically not there, because I knew that with the paycheck coming in, I usually allot $50 a paycheck to gas, and that I had $50 still sitting off in that other banking account for gas. So I just kind of was like, okay, I'll do 75. So that's, 25 from this paycheck's allotment plus like the 50 that's sitting waiting to be used. And then I'll just keep 25 off to the side for next time I need gas. I hate shuffling money around because I always worry I'm screwing it up, but I think it does work out. So $25 is going over for cash. I already did my grocery shopping for this week, so I don't have to pull out money for 2 weeks worth of groceries, just for the one. And it's somewhere I'm gonna have to be like super strict with myself for like the next time, like next weekend when I'm grocery shopping for the week after that, just because my money is so tight that it's somewhere I'm just gonna have to really seriously rein in. I'm anticipating having to buy milk and eggs, so that should be fine. I gave it 50. I really don't want to be spending anywhere near that. And I don't think I'll have to, unless, I don't even know what the unless would be. I shouldn't have to. Striker, I'm going to be having to buy some food for him within like the next 2 weeks. And even though it's a bad paycheck to be doing this, I have upped how much money I'm allotting into his cash or digital cash envelope by an extra $10, just because it kept going into negative every time I had to buy something for him. Well, not buy something, but it just sort of seemed to all happen in one go, where I'd be buying the wet food and the dry food and the litter, and then it was just too much for the digital cash envelope to be able to cover. So I added an extra bit. So I'm pulling out $30 this paycheck to put into his cash envelope, and yeah, I'll be using it once I do payment. And what's next? SUV insurance. It's so tempting to want to just say like, oh, the money's really tight, so I'm not going to do my sinking funds or my cash envelopes, but then that kind of makes everything worse, because the money is still going to be spent, and if I don't put the money over into my sinking funds, I mean, the SUV insurance is still going to be due, so I'm just shorting myself there just to make this week easier. Like, no thank you. So $67 every paycheck for that, and then $7 for my tenant insurance. So we're down to $269. The next thing I wanted to prioritize was my emergency fund. Okay, and then I have decided, you know what, I'm going to write this on the next page, because there's like a note that's going to be involved, and it's going to get kind of messy, I think. Okay, so we left off at a balance of $229. Let's just go here, I guess. Okay, so what was I doing? My miscellaneous. Normally I put $50 into my miscellaneous digital cash envelope, and it's kind of a game changer for making sure that I'm funded for things, like to be able, like random things. Like I had to go to the dollar store last week. However, because money, because I owe on that BMO card from that purchase that I did, and just because this paycheck is short and I'm just kind of nervous about everything, I'm actually putting the money that would normally go into the miscellaneous digital cash envelope to the BMO MasterCard instead, to be able to up the payment on that. The digital cash envelope has a comfortable balance in it for the miscellaneous category. It's like in the mid $30 range, and I don't know what's going to happen in the next 2 weeks, so I can't say if I'm going to have to utilize that cash envelope or not, but I'm just going to do my best to not have to. And yeah, because if I make a purchase for something that I really shouldn't be buying, but it's just because I really, really want it, I've got to find the money from somewhere, right? So I'm pulling it, instead of putting it into that cash envelope, and putting it onto the card, which I think is a sort of responsible thing. I don't know. I'm not really sure. 50 for fun. Now, you're probably thinking that I should be cutting the fun category and putting that money also towards debt, but I do have to be sort of realistic here. Like, I already know that on Wednesday I'm going to a drop-in step class. I'm going to spend $4 and change, and that's going to come out of the fun category. And I also know that next Saturday after my boot camp, I always go for brunch with my friend, and I know that I could tell her that, you know, like, I really can't afford to this week, but I don't want to. I know that's so bad, but like I don't do like a lot of social things, and that's something that I just really look forward to every week. It's like how I get through the boot camp. So I'm still gonna fund that one. And then $15, that's for my Norton, my Microsoft, and my WordPress sinking fund. So we're already down to $114, which, oh, I hate how tiny this number is getting. Now I'm putting $20 off to the side for my Dragon Boat sinking fund. And then 20 for my present sinking fund. And I know it may seem strange to still be funding these when arguably there are things that are more important than dragon boating and putting money aside to be purchasing presents for people. But the dragon boating team fees are going to be due, and I need as much money put aside for that as I can because they've gone up. And presents, I mean, it's not like I can just tell people, hey, let's just like ignore your birthday this year because I didn't put money aside to be able to buy you something. So I figure if I'm able to, I'm still going to put money in there just to save myself in the future from being in a similar type of a situation. And then 40 for travel, and that's kind of the same idea. Like I've got I'm going home for the long weekend in April, so I'm gonna need money. I mean, the plane ticket's already purchased and everything, but I'm gonna need, you know, like money for parking at the airport or Uber, depending on which way I go, money to pay the cat sitter, money for when I'm over there visiting, just money. And I'd rather have money in my travel fund that I can pull from and just sort of, I'll have to hardcore budget, I think, for the 4 days that I'm there, but I'm also not intending to like go crazy with my spending, than be putting it onto the credit card when hopefully by then I've finally gotten it once again back under control. Even though this does mean that I am now sitting with a balance of $34 in my bank account, which is terrifying. So because that is so tiny, there is a good chance that I might pull over from the bank account where I put the money for my I'm losing words, my set percentage payout. I might pull money from there to put into this account, not with the intention of spending it, but just with the intention of having it there in case like any bank fees go out or just something happens that I'm not anticipating, so that I don't go into a negative, because I have overdraft protection, but it just cost me $5 and I don't like to use it because I don't know if stuff like that is tracked, but I figure it can't possibly look very good, because if somebody were just looking at the numbers, they might be like, oh look, they don't control their finances, they keep going into the negatives in their bank account. Like, I don't actually know if anybody looks at stuff like that though. But yeah, so this is the budget. When I figure out how much money I'm gonna pull over, I will put a little side note down here about like which account it came out and how much it is, so then next paycheck I can go and like put that money back. And yeah, I'm gonna be having to make a lot of little notes on the side over here to remind myself about like what happened with the gas, and I think I had something else. Oh yeah, like just reminding myself like the paycheck is shorted, and that I didn't put as much groceries aside for this reason, and you know what I mean, like just things. Oh, and I was supposed to move over. Oh no. Okay, wait, I have a problem. So my mom sent me money as a gift. I was going out to an event on Friday night, and she's like, for the night, like, you know, have fun. And she sent me $100, and I spent $46.30. But out of reflex, when I was purchasing, like paying at the end of the evening, I tapped using the card that accesses to my digital cash envelopes, because that's just how I usually pay for things. So I have a little note to myself that I owe the cash envelope account $46.30, which I meant to pull out of here, but clearly don't have the money to do so. So I'm probably gonna pull over from that account where I put the stat percentage money into, $46.30, to be able to put directly into the cash envelopes, and then an additional, I don't know, I mean, what do I have in there? 34, so maybe an additional 50, just to kind of cover it, and then I'll have little notes and I'll have to pay it all back next paycheck. Yeah, okay, I think that's what I'm gonna do. So strategy, there's strategy involved, a little bit of a plan. I think it might be okay. If I don't have a choice, it's gonna have to be okay. Something I didn't do is I did not put money into my takeout digital cash envelope this week. I don't know if anybody noticed that or not. My digital cash envelope for takeout is actually very well funded. I'm surprised at how that one is always doing better than all of the rest, considering how much I used to order takeout before, which is why I created this particular cash envelope. But yeah, I think it's got like 70 bucks in it. I'm not going to spend 70 bucks worth of takeout between now and next paycheck. Like, it's not going to happen. So I decided to not fund that one, and instead of doing like what I did with where is it, with the miscellaneous money, where I still pull it out but instead I put it onto a debt, I'm not funding that envelope because I don't have the money to fund it. So I'm not putting that money anywhere technically, because it's already being used in other things. It's sort of the consequences of my actions again, right? Like, I made purchases, I have debt that I really want to get paid off before they rack up even more interest. The money has to come from somewhere. So, you know, the miscellaneous money is going there. And if the paycheck had not been shorted, then the money that would have gone into my takeout cash envelope would have also gone onto a debt payment. But because the paycheck is shorted, I don't have the money to put anywhere, let alone onto debt. So I'll leave a note for myself for that one as well. And then next paycheck, because it'll be larger, because it'll have the missing funds, I will correct that and make an additional payment onto one of the pieces of debt that I have, because I have to. I don't know. Does that make sense? Do you guys ever do that? Like, purchase something knowing you're gonna have to find the money from somewhere, and so then go and purposely like short yourself, or like not fund something that you would have liked to have because you're like, well, I bought this thing, so now this thing I can't have until this thing's paid off? Or is that just me being weird? It could very well be me being weird. I think my finances are just weird sometimes. Okay, well, there we go. That is the number 34. It's a little bit sad. I hope your guys' budget is going better than mine. I hope that you did not get shorted when you got paid this week and everything is going great. Stay safe out there with the time change. Now we're losing an hour of sleep but getting better sunlight hours, so yay for that. I will talk to you guys in the next video, and yeah, have a good one. Bye.